So the next one we're going to have a look at is the Terre Cabernet Vineyard Cabernet Shiraz from 2018. Jenny, port. I mean, obviously Cabernet Shiraz, it is the Great Australian Blend. It's really what we do. How do you see this wine, and how do you see this wine, I guess, comparing to what are some pretty amazing wine styles?
Well, first of all, I think it is a Great Australian Blend, and I don't know how many Australian-born producers are taking it as seriously as they might. Sales aren't that good, I think, for that category. They've been going down since the heydays of the 80s, the late 70s and 80s. So first up, I'm so impressed to see a French-born winemaker taking to the style and elevating it. I mean, I think that has to be acknowledged, and congratulations on that, Xavier. I'm just so thrilled as someone who loves this style to see someone taking it so seriously. And interestingly enough, too, that there is 1% of Cabernet Franc in this blend. And I think you've just explained earlier why that is, but I was pondering that point when I was tasting it. And then I thought, well, immediately it contributes to those lifted aromatics. I mean, this is another lovely example of just the beautiful aromatics rising from the glass. And then I thought, again, true to style, at least true to the style that I like, this is fruit-led. This is all about the fruit. It's the most glorious, ripe, sweet, to a degree, fruit. And it's a celebration of that. And again, that is how I see this style too. And then I looked at the vintage, the 2018, which Xavier has already noted was warmer than usual. So ripeness is certainly clearly on display here. And I think it is too in that 14.5% alcohol. Not that I have a problem with it, but it is of a higher alcohol for some of these wines, and it is of the more generous school from that point of view. And I think in turn that has also inspired the winemaker to use that 21% new French oak, which is considering what he normally does, I would have thought that was on the slightly more generous end. But again, the fruit is up for it, slurps it right up, no problem there with balance from my point of view. This is an unrestrained, which I quite like too. That's so Australian. Buoyant wine, full of black fruits, red fruits, and I like that little bit of pomegranate tartness too, and the spice rising from the glass. So I think I've written here that the palate was well meshed, almost voluptuous by hill standards. I think if you were given this wine blind, you might actually wonder whether this is indeed from the Adelaide Hills. We're used to more structure, more fineness. This is breaking out of that kind of jacket a little bit, I thought, and I am in favour of it. It is an expression of the year as much as anything else, as well as Xavier's plans for this style. I loved it.
It's quite savoury too. It's quite look at the 389. Obviously the signature kind of thing, some other really good examples of it. It's got that rat and bully, ironstone, whatever, hemoglobin kind of taste to it. There's that savory, irony kind of taste to it, that masculinity to it that I like.
And Mel, I didn't mention that the drinkability right now, and that is something that we can talk about with the reserve. But this is right now, you can get into it, which again is something I applaud.
This was my favourite wine for drinking now, of the lot. What do you reckon, Mel?
I was lucky enough to see this about 7 weeks ago or so, and I think the purpose I heard that Xavier decided today was better as the wines had settled a little bit, and I did find both this wine and the next one very different today. I absolutely agree with Jenny on I love that buoyant fruit description. That was really great. But I did find that sort of Amaro bitterness in a good sense on the palate at the end, which I love. It's like a refreshing You know, a sip means you want to have another go. I love the wines. They're really great. But I love sort of the Cabernet dominant as well. I love that leafiness, and all those things, the spiciness. I thought it was beautiful. Yeah.
It's a really harmonious blend, and I think sometimes with Cabernet Shiraz, you see Cabernet and then you see Shiraz, and you don't necessarily see them meshing together. And this wine is fully integrated. I thought the tannins were pretty plentiful and shows great potential for a long life ahead. And yet, as Jenny and Melissa have pointed out, there's that voluptuousness and that generosity in the mid palate in particular, which I personally associate with Rattenbury, actually. And I think that actually gives it immediate street appeal, immediate drinkability, and yet it has great potential for cellaring. So I think it's an excellent value, and it will find a very happy market.